I'm waiting. Ah, there it is. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order the City Council meeting of the City of Pacifica for March 10th, 2014. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Degree.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Irvin.
Here.
Mayor Neihardt.
Present. And the salute to the flag will be Mayor Pro Tem Karen Irvin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our city attorney, we have a closed session report?
Portable action.
Okay. At this point, I wanted to remind persons wishing to address the council on any consent item that you may do so at this time. Each speaker still has only the 3 minutes. Anyone that's wanted to speak on anything on the consent calendar? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to council. And I have one thing I have to say before anybody starts hitting lights, and that is that I need to recuse myself from the pipelines on Palmetto and the laterals. So I will recuse myself from item 5. Councilmember Stone.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Mayor Pro Tem Irvin.
Second.
Okay, and with that, and that I'm voting on everything but 5, please vote. And that passes 5-0 with my recusal of item number 5. We have one special presentation tonight, and that is for the American Red Cross Month. Do I have anybody here from the American Red Cross? Huh, okay. Well, I'm just going to say a few things out of this because the Red Cross has been an incredible support for disasters and in need, and experiencing firsthand what it was like to have a fire next door and have them come in and help people that were from that fire. My living room turned into a little Red Cross shelter that night. So it's time to recognize and thank our everyday heroes, and the American Red Cross heroes are really the front lines. They volunteer their time, they give blood, they take life-saving courses and provide financial donations to those in need. We like to remember our heroes here in the city of Pacifica who assist people in need. They work tirelessly to help in the time of disaster with, again, giving a comforting hand and life-saving blood and other things that people need. They provide round-the-clock support to members of the military, veterans, and their families. They teach life-saving classes in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. In the past year, 3,000 volunteers from across local volunteers of the American Red Cross chapter helped more than 730 families with temporary housing, clothing, food, and emotional support during 433 local disasters. Our local chapter trained more than 177,000 people in life-saving first aid, CPR, first aid, water safety, and preparedness education. Our local chapter provided emergency communications, counseling, financial assistance, and a caring presence to more than 8,000 local military families. And our local chapter provided 28 Bay Area hospitals with nearly 75,000 units of red blood cells, platelets, and plasma to patients in need. We dedicate the month of March to all who support the American Red Cross mission. Therefore, I, Mary Ann Neihardt, Mayor of Pacifica, by virtue of the authority vested in me, proclaim March 2014 as American Red Cross Month. Thank you. Councilmember Degree.
Excuse me. Right, the Red Cross, even though they're not here, sorry there isn't somebody here to be personally acknowledged, but they're very busy. You mentioned quite a few things in their local preparing for disasters, which we don't always pay much attention to, that the big disaster could happen at any time. And then I'm reminded of the fires like the one at your house, but where also people were displaced. They're there on the scene, and well after we're sure that the fire is over and everything's safe, the people are still displaced, and they're hanging in on that. And as many of you know, my husband goes to a lot of them, and so these are national disasters, and they go at the drop of a hat, given a credit card, and put on a plane and go to very extreme conditions, and have to drive to a tent place or a school building and help people who are strangers in extreme conditions. So, and you may be sitting next to someone sometime who's a Red Cross volunteer, and you never realize all that they are doing constantly to be prepared to do these things and to follow up on them. And when we are in trouble, it will be another citizen like ourselves who's a Red Cross person who will maybe be the first one to hug us. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Degree. Okay, anyone else? With that, we'll move on. And we have no public hearings tonight, so that brings us to council communications. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of committees to report back on. First off, we have Economic Development Committee meeting tomorrow evening, Councilmember Degree and I and the rest of the committee, but I did want to update the council. So tomorrow we're just going to be reviewing a lot of the revenues and how they come in, tax revenues, and the committee thought that was important because part of our next step is going to be to be simple, just where do we go first to get the most bang for our buck in this new kind of term with the EDC, because the last Economic Development Committee had kind of come to a close with a mission, and so now we're ramping up again. So we'll be going over revenues, going over the economic plan, and I'm sure it'll be a great discussion on where to go next. And I think the last time I reported on this, I was very excited because the group is a very good group. And so I think you'll be happy with the outputs of that going forward. And then I wanted to report back on the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee that I'm a part of. We had our first meeting, and I was elected chair unanimously by the board, so thank you to those board members, and I look forward to doing all we can for the county on bicycle, pedestrian, and walkability for our city and county. It's a great committee. It's not political at all, and it's really just about trying to get the best projects for the best places in the county, and hopefully our city's a part of that at certain points. And I did want to also mention one last thing, that I guess we got a big $41,000 check just this afternoon, I believe. Our citizens and our city has done a great job over the last couple years in recycling and our diversion rates. Fantastic job. We have some of the best diversion rates. I think only San Francisco is close to us, and a lot of that has to do with our recycling receptacles, and we have one big bin that's a lot better than the 3 bins you still see a lot places around the county. And so Recology just gave us a check for $41,000 because we get a portion of everything that they of the recycling sales. Everything over a certain amount, we get 50% of that. So the citizens have been doing an excellent job recycling, and I just want to commend you. And I think the way that Recology has organized the recycling has really helped that as well. So it's been a good partnership. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it was Councilmember Decree was next.
Just to sing again about public transportation, we have 2 shuttle routes in Pacifica, and even though need is what is looked at for Samtrans to provide, need is very important, but also ridership. So I don't think we've hit the magic way of getting the word out well enough that our shuttles are full enough for comfort level. And as we read in the paper, I think it was the Examiner just had an article that the millennials, the younger people, are like the seniors that can't drive anymore and the youth that aren't able to drive yet. They really don't want to drive. So if we want to have ridership, I think it was mentioned in the paper that ridership went up in certain areas, and one of the reasons they claimed it went up was because there were more avenues, more routes, more hours of transportation. But we're not going to get that sort of thing unless we actually put our bodies or invite people to come and visit and go to, like the one shuttle is for commercial on the weekend only from 8 o'clock to 5 every Saturday and Sunday, and it goes to very wonderful commercial areas where you can walk the beach, have a cup of coffee, a sandwich, etc. So if we could really continue to work hard on inviting friends and people outside of town to come. You can get it at the senior center, and it's not a senior bus, and it is free at Good Shepherd Church there where the senior center is, and all the way down the commercial areas to Lindemar. The other shuttle is the Flex shuttle, which we're hearing people are really enjoying. It's in the Lindemar area and Terra Nova area. You can call ahead of time the day before to get it closer. What is it, half a block of your house, I believe it is, so people are enjoying that, so we're glad to hear that. The Economic Development Committee does meet on the second Tuesday at 6 p.m. and is happy that the members are eager to hear from you what your opinion is about the character of Pacifica so that they can make wise decisions on economic development, so keep alert for that. Where was I? So a lot of the meetings that I attend, such as housing, is coming up this week. So is a long meeting on with commute.org for transportation in the county, getting out of your cars. So those are coming up for me. I think I covered, oh yes, the county parks, I don't know if you realize it. Again, hearing about things seems to be difficult, but we have 2 county parks in our borders, and if you're interested in snakes, this time it's snakes. It's at 5 o'clock at the San Pedro Valley Park Sunday. And of one of my neighbors I discovered, people are very shy, but these are internationally well-known jazz musicians, and they're playing at our Sanchez Hall on Saturday. And I mean, these are internationally well-known, famous people, Larry Dunlop and Bobby Norris, and they give a little bit of history going back to Frank Sinatra, et cetera. So we have these wonderful gems happening, and people from out of town do come. I'm happy to hear that. But ourselves, let's make sure that we're aware of them. So I think that I've covered that. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Well, you know, this time since the last council meeting, I kind of ate my way through the 2 weeks. I went to 2 pancake breakfasts, one for Terra Nova Band and the other one was for Sunset Ridge, and then went to the Council of Cities dinner with Mary Ann. I also attended PTC Channel 26 is kind of getting together for their telethon in November, and they had snacks. Then I went and also, we're at the climate change meeting, climate change plan. Study session, right. And then they also had the articulation committee for the Jefferson High School District, Water District, PSD, and us, which is always kind of worthwhile. We have some things kind of percolating there. And I ended the week by having lunch at the CERT graduation at the police station yesterday afternoon. So that was good. About 20 people, I think 25 people graduated.
Yes. And Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, on Saturday, I attended the CERT graduation as well. This is a community emergency response team, and it's a really great opportunity. There was about 20 or 22 people that took the course, and it was 8 weeks long, and it gave them extensive experience and taught them skills when dealing with an emergency. And it was just very well attended, and it's just a wonderful thing to provide to our citizens. It empowers them to take care of themselves and their families and their neighbors and their communities in times of emergencies. And I think it greatly benefits our community, and I really want to express my appreciation to the police department, Captain Joe Spanheimer, as well as our Committee for Emergency Preparedness. Many of those members show up there and attend these meetings every day, as well as additional staff members. So I really appreciate that we're able to provide that to the citizens, and also greatly appreciate the fact that so many people want to get out in our community and learn these skills so they can help each other. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think the next one is going to be offered in August. So anybody that's interested in taking this training, I recommend that you call the police department and they can give you additional information on it. I think they take about 20 people per session, and they're 8 weeks long. I also attended the articulation meeting with Councilmember O'Neill, and we talked about lots of different issues in terms of water conservation efforts with the water department and infrastructure needs, as well as some curriculum issues that are going on in the school districts, along with just the idea of how to best communicate. All of these different entities are concerned and would like to enhance their modes of communication, just like the city would, and it's a great forum for us all to talk about ways to best educate the public on things that are going on within the city, as well as learn what other people's interests and concerns are. This week I'll be going to the Legislative Committee from CCAG, as well as I'll be attending my first meeting with the Pacifica Resource Center as a liaison there, and I'm really looking forward to that as well, and I'll report back on that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, and that comes to me, and there is one food item you missed, because, yes, Michael, there was a cake contest that was part of Literary Week, so I got to be one of the judges for that, and I have to tell you, it was pretty, well, creative. Wimpy was amazing. There was the kid Wimpy actually in a cake. It was a kid, and there were just some quite creative and adventuresome cakes and winners and lots of people, so it was great fun.
Sounds pretty sweet.
Okay. Now we're being cute. With that, I do want to say congratulations to all of the CERT recipients of their graduation. It was an honor to be there and to be with Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember O'Neill. But I also have a number of committees coming up as well. The night we had our study session here for Climate Action Plan is also the night for the Beautification Task Force. So both Karen and I missed that night, but there should be some pretty interesting things coming, and I will probably say more about that in a few weeks, because the chair, Jenny Jakewith, was informing me of some of those items, but she's out of town, so I can't really give you all the details yet. I would like to also say congratulations, well, no, I'm going to save that to last. I'm going to say congratulations right now to Mike Varney and Jennifer Ball. What will be coming up in April is Spring for Youth, which is the annual banquet and fundraiser for the Daly City Youth Health Center. And along with the Women of Pacifica, which is just kind of this informal group, Mike and Jennifer have been amazingly supportive of Daly City Youth Health, and this provides health education and health care to the youth in Jefferson school, in the school district, and that means Terra Nova and Oceana. But a few years ago, they were about to lose their sex education squad. They have a sex education squad, and it's youth teaching youth, and that they were going to lose the funding for that and also the program entirely. And so Mike Varney and Jennifer Ball are receiving the Carol Forrest Service Award at the banquet, largely because they stepped up and funded it. And I think I'm incredibly grateful that we have people, I mean, there's so many people, but they're being honored. It's people in our community that do things like this, and we have a lot of them. We're blessed with many. Pacificans Care, and I'm thinking about that because Fred Howard's back there, but there's so many people that will step up and do the right thing in our community. Speaking of which, Climate Action Plan, the study session was very well attended, very thoughtful, came out as positive as I could ever want it. And it reminds me that our countywide integration, our integrated waste management plan, the update in recruitment of seats to be on that is happening at the next CCAG meeting, which is Thursday night. So I just wanted to, there are programs like that that we participate in as part of Pacifica that are very important to our overall waste reduction and also our energy conservation, and I appreciate what Councilmember Stone said. I want to congratulate Councilmember Stone on being elected chair, and I just want to say the same congratulations right now to this council. Sue was mentioning a number of the countywide committees that she serves on, from the air abatement with the airport through housing and our JPA for emergency. You've been on that a long time, and there's just very active in those. Michael has stepped up and is incredibly involved in the congestion management. Certainly, Mayor Pro Tem has taken a leadership role in legislation, not only in the CCAG legislative group, but also in the Peninsula League of California Cities, and then with Councilmember Stone's involvement in BPAC, which is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Management Committee. He's chair. Those have feeder grants that then come to CCAG, and I guess maybe Thursday night I become chair because I'm acting chair right now, so that vote happens on Thursday night. I just want to say that this is a very involved county-wide city council, and I want to thank everybody. It's an honor to serve with each of you, and I really appreciate all the work you're putting in to bringing money home for Pacifica. A lot of folks don't necessarily realize that the money, for example, that's going to pave Lindemar Boulevard next summer is actually money that comes from grants that myself, Lynn, we're involved in making sure that happens, and congestion management and some of the committees that the Alliance, that the Congestion Alliance that Sue serves on, actually fund those shuttles. And as it turns out, one of the best shuttles right now in the county for ridership has been the new shuttle in Pacifica that has started up with going to your door and that voluntary call in advance. So that looks very, very promising, and very promising for the future as a new way of providing shuttle service. All of those things really bring home the dollars to Pacifica, and without the work of everyone up here, that just wouldn't happen. So thank you. Staff are wonderful in their reports and their work, and I know that some of you back there I need to thank also, but it's the politics and getting together and lobbying for our city. It's what happens at these committees, so I appreciate it, and I wanted people to know that. With that, anything else from council? So moving right on, we have oral communications, and our first speaker is Fred Howard, followed by Therese Dyer, followed by Roger Medler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the council for the cards and the flowers you sent me a little over a year ago. And I know that the mayor saw me at my worst time and was very kind. But I'm here now to, if I do it slowly, I'll get everything through. I just want to let you all know that my granddaughter, who's done many plays since she's been in grammar school up to high school, and at the end of this month, she'll be doing Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. And if you look at the back of that picture, and when my daughter showed me the picture, I thought it was really Dorothy. But if you look at the back of there, it'll give you the phone numbers you could call, or the whatever's on that thing now. I forget right now what's on there. And it's going to be at Sarah High School. And we're, as grandparents, are, of course, really excited. And she has done some lead roles. She was in Milan. She was Milan in Milan, and she was in a couple other ones that she had to lead, but nothing that was this big and this difficult for her to do. But she's working hard at it, and we know that she'll do a great job. But if you have a chance, there's 2 girls that are in there that were in Pacifica Spindrift players. And there was my daughter and one other girl that goes to Mercy will be in there. And the challenge, if you're a sports person, you know that you have to race against somebody. Well, she had to go to 3 callbacks. And even when she finished the callback the 3rd time, she got home and she said all the girls were excellent. And about an hour later, she got emailed that she's going to do the job. So we hope she does. And I just want to say one more thing about your city manager. It's nice to have somebody that had red hair, because I used to. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Tree Steyer, Roger Medler, and Cindy Abbott.
Good evening, Teresa Dyer, 1408 Crespi Drive. I just want to bring up a few issues here. We spent considerable time in December on this communication class, and I understood that we were going to reconvene in March. Am I right about that? I mean, that was my understanding. I don't know. But anyway, there's room for improvement, because it seems like all this talk is not really valid. In fact, there was a response in last week's paper, and it reflected to Mike O'Neill by Marilyn Peters, whose husband died of a heart attack because the ambulance and the fire department couldn't get there in time. And she said, "When did the city decide it was okay not to respond to correspondence from its citizens? On January 18th, I sent an email to Councilman O'Neill regarding the issuance of firework permits this year and received no response." Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's one item. And then Mr. Stone, who really tried to implement this communications class, he did call me back, but it wasn't very nice conversation, because he said, "What do you think the city council does?" And I said, "You tell me." And he says, "We not enforce, but we implement policies." I said, "Then why don't you enforce them?" Now, this had all to do about the garbage behind Park Mall, okay? And believe it or not, I did get rid of it, along with the tires on Maurice Point, along with the dead tree at the library at Sanchez. And you know what? I don't want any proclamations, because I got so many of them in the county and the state. I have enough to wallpaper my family room, so save it for Todd Schlesinger. But on the other point, in the Mayberry column too, there was all kinds of suggestions how you can promote Pacifica. And I think you should revisit that, and because there's a lot of suggestions, including the one I gave you at the Economic Development about bringing Antique Roadshow here. Thank you. Oh, and Len, get you a pamphlet like this, then I don't have to bother you. All the phone numbers are in there to get rid of all the garbage, okay?
Roger.
Oh, and Mr. O'Neill, the police chief will be returning the mosquito abatement forms that you gave me, because they really need to go to DeJarnette. You're the one that appointed them.
Roger Medler, and I was sorry when I announced Cindy Abbott, because she's on the social media. Todd Schlesinger, and that's all the cards I have.
Hi, how you doing? Anyway, I went down to the Board of Supervisors meeting in Redwood City, and they were really some pretty good people down there. Anyway, they let us speak first, and I think that's very nice of them, and I thanked them for that. And They're very respectable. And I'm hoping that the city of Pacifica could follow in them footsteps. And the communication, if we want some communication, you want to talk about communication, we could probably start with returning emails and phone calls if we call you. And I mean, you are the people that we are supposed to look up to. And hopefully that will be that way. Anyway, I went to the planning, for an example, I went to the planning meeting, and what they did is make me wait for an hour before I could talk. And then they told me I was in the wrong place, and in your time, that happened a long time ago. We don't talk about that, so. I don't know why, 15 seconds more would hurt for you to say, okay, your time is up. Thank you you could come back in a couple of weeks, and we appreciate your comments. Instead of just cutting you off, I thought that was pretty rude. So anyway, actually there's a parking lot next to the RV park that, while I'm here, there's an RV for parking, for community public parking, and it's full of junk, and I would like to get the cars removed there. I mean, all they do is move it from one stall to the next, and the guy's employees park there, and he's using it as a storage yard, our public parking. So if you would look into that, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Todd Schlesinger. And that's all the cards I have.
Hey, Todd Schlesinger. Hey, what's up? Hello out there, all of my fans, friends, and family. Okay, here's a good one. No offense, Fred. I know we don't get along, but just a point to be made about advertisements. And I've said this before. Really, advertisements? Is that what city council meetings are about now? And furthermore, the numbers don't lie. I counted when I walked in. Do you know how many people are here from the city versus how many from the public? Would you believe 14 from the city and 8 from the public? You guys should be ashamed. You're so apathetic. Really, I've said this before. Come to the meetings and say something. Really. Come on, people. And I did get some information, so a little clarification from a few weeks ago regarding Roger Medler. Don't take it personal. But it's my understanding, and this is what I've been told, and I don't know if it's true, that there was an attempt at a settlement. And that for some reason, it didn't happen. But if in fact, there was money on the table, and that money could have and should have and still can be used for a potential sound wall, I don't see why that matter can't be put to bed once and for all. So, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But if you don't give me the information, I can't make an accurate analysis. That brings me to something that might actually benefit the city, which I've been known to do, like it or not. Lived in the same street for 25 years. Street cleaner comes by there periodically. Really? Really? Those streets need cleaning? Really? No, those streets need the potholes finished and fixed and paved. Street cleaning is a waste of time and money. It's one thing in San Francisco in a commercial area or an area where there's a lot of wind and debris. But I got to guarantee you that there ain't a citizen in this town that wouldn't give up the street cleaning to get their potholes repaired. So come on, people, wake up and smell the coffee and move the money where it can best be used. And speaking of money, Marianne, because you were talking about grants, we're the poor stepsister. How long are we going to remain the poor stepsister? Let's do something big, like I said. Take a risk, people. Are you up there because you want to get reelected and make everybody happy, or do you want to make some change? You guys are a bunch of, the chicken dance. Come on, people, swing the bat. See if you can get a hit. What's the worst thing that happens? You don't get reelected? That might be a blessing. Not only for you, but for the city.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of oral communications. Bringing it back, our next item on the agenda is the completion of the fireworks related activities. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Lori Tinfo, the City Manager, and I will be making this report to you tonight. It's a report that's in follow-up to your meeting on February 10th. At that time, staff reported on the activities related to the 4th of July celebration from last year. And as I know you're aware, those activities were, there were changes made in how that celebration was put together based on some recommendations made by the Fireworks Task Force working with staff. At the end of the discussion, there were 3 things that the council focused on and wanted more attention to be paid to them. One of them was the parking impacts on a couple of parking lots in town at South Lindemar Beach and South Rockaway Beach. You asked that we review the fireworks fees to see if maybe there was some adjustments that we could make to have them more closely match the costs. And also to look at an anti-litter campaign, and perhaps not just related to fireworks, but citywide year-round. At the end of that discussion, you highlighted those 3 things, and you suggested or asked for the Fireworks Task Force to be reconvened. There was a 4th topic as well, and that is to consider a social host ordinance related to fireworks, and staff took our recommendation to let us look at that and come back to you with more information, and we're working on that now. When staff and I talked about reconvening the Fireworks Task Force and also these 3 items that you'd focused attention on, we felt that they were very clear, very straightforward. We understood what you were asking for, and thought that perhaps we could just move forward with making the changes that you were looking for without reconvening the task force. Task force are wonderful tools to help achieve community goals. In this case, though, we thought perhaps it would be more efficient, time efficient, and effective to just have us take care of those for you and report back to you. And so this report is coming back to you to have that conversation and to make my recommendation that that's the path that we choose, and we'll be happy to follow up and report back. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, questions from council? Okay. Seeing none, I did have 1 card on this, and that was Cindy Abbott. No, that's social media. I'm keep trying to get you up here, Cindy, don't I? What can I say? So I have no cards on this topic. I don't know why I'm preoccupied. Councilmember Stone.
Okay, I think the biggest thing in this whole conversation of what we're going to do with the different measures to keep the beach clean and move towards kind of a systematic approach on 4th of July. If you feel like that can be handled best at the staff level at this point, then I'm totally fine with it. And I think it's whenever we're putting something forward, I always worry because I know how lean we are right now, and as far as the resources of a committee and other things, because it's not just the committee, but it's all the prep work, and then it's the after, and then it's putting together, and then coming again. I can see how it would be more efficient just with staff if you feel like there's enough direction. And for the council, I know it's really easy for us to put another thing forward, or from the public, there's always another thing that, there's another need out there. And so I'm totally fine if you feel like you can accomplish these things in this way. I think it would be great. And I do want to just commend you also, because I think it's easy to, after a council discussion, to just say, okay, let's go on in that direction, but kind of bringing everyone back to reality a little bit about maybe the best way to do it. That's not always the path of least resistance, so I want to commend you for that, and I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Degree.
I just pretty much reiterate, sounds like a plan. We're not avoiding anything, and we know that you're very strict about being careful about staff time. So looking forward to the social ordinance and moving forward on this. So sounds like a good plan.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I would just like to say ditto to everything that's been said. Obviously, this takes a lot of resources and time and energy, and I think it would be great if we can just go ahead and have staff handle this. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to really thank the Fireworks Task Force, who did meet and spent a lot of time and energy in creating a real collaborative plan that really helped us. And so going forward, we'd love to have your input, but at this time, we've kind of made that decision, so we don't need any more direction. But again, I'd just like to really extend my appreciation for all the work that you've done already, and also the appreciation to staff to organize it in such a way that we know that you've got it under control, and it's a much more efficient use of time and energy, so thank you.
Councilmember O'Neill.
For having been on the fireworks task force, for the most part, I do agree with what Lori is suggesting. Although I do think that there was quite a bit of people, there was quite a bit of interest in the task force on helping develop the anti-litter thing, because they also wanted to go into the neighborhood, like the court parties, the neighborhood block parties, and they wanted to go into, you know, signage on each of the booths, and also even try to look at different methods to get the communications and the goals out of the anti-litter, not just for the 4th of July, but to carry it on throughout the year. So that's the only, I don't know, for lack of a better word, sticking point or something that I have, is that I'm pretty much said the rest of it. I mean, the numbers for the numbers are parking impact is police, numbers is finance, and I think that's good, but I would like maybe at some point to, I don't know if we do an informal survey to see if there is interest in from the task force to look at the anti-litter portion of it.
Okay, I'm going to weigh in here. I really think that a committee is important when we have a lot of controversy or things we need to sort of sort out. I certainly respect what Councilmember O'Neill brings, but I'm hoping that the staff could move forward given the direction that was as part of the discussion, and some of those items were part of it, and then if needed, more community input, since I feel like you have a pretty good handle on that, we could bring that back if there was more needed. So I'm pretty much fine moving forward as is. Councilmember, or Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, I just wanted to add that possibly what could be done is they have in here as one of their, the things that they have to do is discuss the anti-litter campaign and how it could be implemented for the 4th of July, as well as the possibility of expanding into a larger citywide anti-litter campaign. Maybe when they come back to us with the report regarding how these things are going to be taken care of, we could discuss at that point how we can get the community involved in that effort.
I would also like to add that that could work very well with the beautification task force, because we'll be launching the Keep Pacifica Beautiful campaign. So I think those things would go well together. Councilmember O'Neill.
I just wanted to say that if I remember correctly, and Cindy can yes or no nod her head, is there was actually a couple of the members of the task force that actually worked with people on projected, yeah, she's waving, she's nodding her head, on potential posters and handouts and pamphlets and stuff like that. So I don't know where those are or who has them, but that could be a good basis for staff to look at. I don't know where they're at, so. Okay, so I guess they're in PB&R, so it's a resource that why reinvent the wheel if it's already 90% there or whatever.
And we have logos and signage for Keep Pacifica Beautiful as well. So I leave it to bringing those two entities, because that's through Public Works. So bringing those two entities together. Councilmember Stone.
It sounds like we're all in agreement, so I'll move that we accept the city manager's recommendation that staff address the 3 firework-related issues without reconvening the fireworks task force.
And Mayor Pro Tem?
I second.
Okay, any other comments? Please vote. And that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to get to that social media policy. I just knew it was coming. The adoption of a social media policy, staff report, please.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. As you know, government agencies are increasingly using social media sites to broaden communication regarding government services and to facilitate greater citizen engagement. Social media sites, is that better?
There you go.
Such as Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, provide options for meeting these objectives, as well as they are widely available to anyone with internet access, and provide opportunities for citizen engagement. Social media sites are not intended to replace websites or other forms of communication. They can serve as a valuable means to link users back to the organization's website for further information or more in-depth information. For these reasons, the city recognizes the value in using social media sites to improve and broaden communication regarding activities and current issues to members of the public. The city has to decide what is spoken on behalf of the city on its social media sites, and it is necessary to establish parameters for those uses and their monitoring. This requires guidelines, or in this case, the policy you have in front of you tonight for acceptable conduct by users of the sites. To address the issues, a social media task force was formed and a draft social media policy was prepared based on examples of what other cities are using successfully. While the policy anticipates two-way communication between the city and the community, staff intends to use the social media primarily in a one-way direction between the city and the community as a starting point. For example, the city plans to start sending out meeting announcements and sharing of city information via Nextdoor, social media site. Staff has chosen the starting point to ensure that city resources can meet the community expectations. Staff may not be able to keep up with the information flow and the requests that could result from two-way communication. So our thought is by broadening one communication or one-way communication in this way will give us the needed experience to build on the two-way communication and full use of social media. Adoption of the social media policy is the first step towards improving city communication with the community. Council will hear more about this topic at their March 24th meeting, where council will consider staff recommended implementation of the communication plan. So I have tonight here also two members of the social media task force, if they'd like to add anything. Here we have Ed Vandehay. He is our MIS manager, and Captain Dan Steidel from the police department. Gentlemen.
Well, I would like to say again, Captain Dan Steidel from the police department. Implementing a social media policy is a first step, we believe, in better communicating with our citizens. We did a good deal of research speaking with other communities, with other police departments, and other public safety agencies and other city governments who've already done this. And we determined that this was most likely the best route for us to go in selecting some of these mainstream social media sites, as well as being able to start the communication with one way. What we did find right off the bat from everybody is some of the organizations that began using these social media sites years ago tried to do too much at one time and were quickly overwhelmed. The idea in this, taking baby steps, making sure that we can control and respond to our citizens in a responsible manner, and then slowly start to release that as a little bit of time goes on. So we're confident in that approach.
Are you ready for questions?
Yes.
I'm just going to take this opportunity. Thank you, first of all, staff, for doing this. It's really needed. But that's exactly what I was going to comment on, is the ability to respond. And I'm wondering if you feel like it's really laid out well enough that you can manage it. Because contrary to what you might hear, I'm having trouble just responding to the high school email or letter correspondence, snail mail correspondence that I get as mayor. It's kind of, it's a lot to do when we've cut, 20% of our staff. Do you feel like you can keep up with it?
Why don't I chime in here, if you don't mind?
Okay.
So that was partly why we made the point in the staff report, so that you all are clear and the community is clear exactly what we're going to do first, and that is use this as another way of getting information out to people.
Good.
Once we get that, doing that well, have built up our confidence in being able to use these tools, then we'll consider moving into the two-way communication. And it's exactly what you said, Mayor Neihart. Staff resources are very thin, and we certainly don't want to set an expectation and then disappoint people. And so appreciate your understanding of that as we move into this new realm.
Well, I was kind of reinforcing it because sometimes in a staff report it gets lost. So I just wanted people to have that expectation that if we put up a Facebook page and it's only one way, I'm sorry, but right now that's what we can handle. Is that the message?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Can you comment on how Nextdoor works? And do you know how many people currently use it? And is there going to be instructions in terms of how do people sign up for Nextdoor?
Currently, as of 5 o'clock tonight, we have 998 citizens here in Pacifica that are members of Nextdoor. We will be hopefully setting a launch party type date so that we can send out press releases and all that to let people know how to sign up for that. So some instruction will be there available as well. I'm sorry, I forgot what the other question was.
I just want a little overview on Nextdoor was what you did.
Nextdoor basically it allows the city to send messages to either neighborhoods or the entire city or select houses for those members that are actually have actually signed up for it. Right. But it allows us to notify them in case of emergency or some kind of alert, or to let them know that the pier is closed due to weather. We may be doing things for, sending out notices like there's burglaries happening in your neighborhood, so be aware. And it's our goal that with each message that we send out, that we provide a link to detailed information on our website, so that we can provide a lot more information that will be static as well.
And is there a part in there where people can respond to the information that you give them, even if we aren't going to be creating that two-way communication? Is there a comment section or anything in Nextdoor? Just to be clear, just to know.
No, you can send direct messages, however, which would be the equivalent of email messages.
Okay.
And that would come to staff.
Okay. And just a last question, why did you decide to use Nextdoor versus email? Was there a concern that you just couldn't get that many email addresses, or it would?
Yeah, it allows us to talk to more people as a community,
right,
rather than as a bunch of individuals. So Nextdoor is a good path for that.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I've lost track, but I think it was Councilmember O'Neill.
Nextdoor allows people, you post something, and Nextdoor allows people to actually comment on, the posting above. Like, there was somebody looking for a nanny, and 2 or 3 people posted, yeah, I'm a good nanny, or whatever. How is staff going to monitor or take care of those comments if they turn negative or whatever?
The city program portion of Nextdoor doesn't allow us to visit each of the neighborhood sites that are already established. So we can only send out information. And it appears on each one of those neighborhood sites, but we don't have the ability to sneak in and see what's happening.
Okay, so then, like, there's a next door over in Pedro Point, there's a next door up by my house, I know there's one Rockaway, et cetera. So if someone starts to post negative feedback, the city sends, so are you establishing a whole new next door Pacifica? Is that what you're doing?
No.
You're just gonna post to the existing next doors?
Yes.
Okay, but you are not going to have the ability, if someone goes nasty for some reason or whatever, to fix that or change that, delete that, or respond to it?
No. Each one of the next door neighborhood founders and leads will be responsible for taking care of that.
Okay.
But we as a city or city employees do not have any control over that.
Okay. Now, why did you do that? I mean, I would think when we went to the Sacramento or whatever, the city of Fremont had something where they had, like, I believe they had Facebook pages and they were posted only by the city. No one else was able to post to them. Why did you choose Nextdoor versus Facebook?
Mainly because it's more localized than Facebook. And we can concentrate on select neighborhoods if we need to. So it's just closer to home.
Okay.
I hate to interrupt, but also because it's a first step, we may also have Facebook pages, but Nextdoor is something staff's known about for some time and been working on, and it's a first step. We may also have Facebook pages. And I also thought, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, that Nextdoor, we were not going to have a feature that allowed people to post anything on whatever our site is, that we're just going to use it to push information out, and it won't have the ability to have those comments. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so then it is going to be different than what Nextdoor is for, like, somebody wanted to sell something and people responded to that and you saw, so they're not even going to be able to post to our outgoing stuff, information. As you said before that the monitors of each next door neighborhood was going to have to monitor that. Now you're saying that no one will be able to respond to it, which is the way it works.
Yeah. Let's see, how do I word this? The Nextdoor membership can respond to, or may be able to respond to one of our announcements, but it appears only in that neighborhood. It doesn't appear on our Nextdoor profile. I'm not wording it very well.
Maybe we can bring a demo to you at a future meeting when we have it up and running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And then,
Sorry.
then long-term, what's the trial period for, like, Nextdoor before you might think about expanding? A year, 6 months, 18 months?
I think you're going to hear more about that at your next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Part of the communication
Yeah.
plan.
Haven't seen that agenda yet. Okay. Thank you.
And just so we're clear, I'm not at all concerned about, what did you call it, nasty posts? I mean, that's out there already. I'm concerned that the city might have something that looks like it's attributed to us, but is misinformation. And that would be my bigger concern. And that sounds like it's not possible that it wouldn't be attributed to us, correct?
Right.
That is correct.
All right.
Any posts that the city employees were to present or post, those would come with our profile information and the city's logo or the police department logo.
Okay. It's because it's clarifying that we're giving out correct information as opposed to what generates around out there. Okay, Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to all the staff that's a part of this. I'm glad that there's staff from different departments all working together on this. It's going to make for a better product to the public, and that's exciting. And I just did want to ask the city manager, this applies to anything, any medium, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The policy applies to all.
Okay, so I know we're very excited about this, and we want to know the next steps, but I'm sure we'll be touching on that at our next meeting. Can you give me a little bit of the time frame that you expect on just not on specifics, but just the in broad steps? We have this policy, and the next meeting we have.
The next meeting is the staff's implementation of the communication plan.
Okay.
And there's a timeline as part of the report that you're going to get in advance, so it'll be laid out. I can't reference it, it's not coming to mind unless maybe Kathy knows off the top of her head, but you're going to get that information at the meeting on the 24th.
Great. I just
There's
wanted to
no
understand where
sneak
we're coming
previews.
from. No sneak previews. Great. Okay.
That's right.
Great. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Degree.
We're doing questions, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify, you mentioned that there are so many people, a certain number of people already on Nextdoor, but that's not referring to a city next door, it's referring to the, whatever, medium. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's several different neighborhoods that defined their own territories. And we made sure, we went through the map and made sure that the entire city was covered as far as all the residential areas. So of those people that have already signed up as receiving members of Nextdoor, there are 998 at this point in time. So that's a potential 998 citizens that we couldn't reach before, which is nice.
So am I hearing that, but we're not communicating with them, they're communicating with themselves there, but we're not communicating with that number right now. They would need to sign up for ours, is that correct?
No. As long as they are a member of Nextdoor, any of the neighborhoods, their particular neighborhood, then they can receive the messages that we send out.
Okay, so once we get it started, we already know there's 900 something.
And
Thank you.
I just think it'll be good to have everybody will understand with a demo. So if we're done with our questions, I'm going to now have Cindy Abbott come up because she has a card in on this item. Sorry, Cindy, I just didn't get enough sleep last night.
Good evening, and apologies for not numbering my card in the item that I wanted to speak on. I am Cindy Abbott in West Sharp Park, and I'm also currently serving as the Chair Pro Tem of the Pacifica Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Commission. And the commission has talked over the past year on a number of occasions on what is the role of commissions in communications. And when I was looking at the policy, that's a question that I'm still wondering about, of what is allowable or not allowable as a member of a commission or committee. And in a way, we serve as ambassadors with the city and with the citizens and kind of a conduit for information and exchange. And it might not be applicable to every commission or committee, but we do serve and help out when there's not enough staff to share information or to apply, and particularly for things like the PB&R or the Beautification Committee, there could be some value in our role as well in getting information out, which we do today. But we've been reserved in how we wanted to move forward. There is, the PB&R does have a Facebook page, and we like and share that out, but we don't right now speak on social media as a commission member, and we've wondered about what our role and our ability is to do that. So I just wanted to bring that up as the policy is out there and as the communications plan moves forward, is what is our role in that. And I think that we can be very beneficial in a number of ways in that area, as a lot of us have some extensive friends and networks. So just wanted to lay that out there, and we look forward to getting some direction on how we can help out with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Have no other cards? Seeing no one. Councilmember Stone.
Well, it seemed like all of our questions were kind of about the future and the policy, and not really about this actual policy. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the attached resolution establishing the City of Pacifica's social media policy.
Councilmember O'Neill?
I'll second that motion, but I also wanted to say I wasn't negative on Nextdoor. I just wanted to be sure how it worked, that's all. So I think actually Nextdoor is a good venue for it.
Councilmember Degree?
Yeah, we did questions, so I just wanted to.
Yes, go ahead.
the folks that aren't going to be technologically inclined, and I'm sure there's some of us, I'm a definite wannabe, but there may be people who don't feel that they can get to that point. We are in our policymaking, are we going to have like a paragraph or at least some thinking towards those people, so that when we come out with this way of communicating with our public, we are not leaving out any segment? Am I assuming that's going to happen?
I believe this isn't the communication plan, it's just one piece of the communication plan, correct?
One of the tools.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so
what I
then,
thought.
and since that's coming in another week or so, that whole idea will be encompassed. Okay, so my other point was, I asked numerous questions with the city manager already. So my concern was that we get to a point where we're able to receive input from our community quickly, and I understand the baby steps, so I'm not going to complain yet.
Fair enough.
Well, we can't do it all at once. I would like to suggest that Cindy Abbott's point, and we've thought about it at several points, about a policy related, and I'm looking at our city attorney because I think it has something to do with you. What we can, commissioners and council are different than committee members, and, you know, we need to be clear about what we can and can't do.
There's going to be a use policy and procedure.
Mike,
Sorry.
Michelle.
There is going to be a standard use policy and procedure that is going to be created and will be brought back to the council. I'm sure at some point that will include those types of issues.
Perfect. Thank you, staff, very much for this. I know it's a first step. I appreciate it. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. And once again, that passes 5-0. So with that, thank you very, very much, and good evening.